Hey, what's up, everybody? So I thought I'd just quickly go over Elden Ring really quick. Is it worth buying in 2024? The game launched back in February of 2022. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about the game that has been out for 2 years. The DLC is coming out in June. I'm not sure the exact date, but I'll put it on screen right now. But yeah, the game will be coming out in the month of June. June. So I thought, what better time than talk about whether or not this game is worth buying in 2024? So I guess first we'll go over the gameplay. The gameplay is insane in this game. You'll almost never get bored. There are tons of different classes you can choose from. You want to use magic, use magic. There's two different types of magic in the game. There's, your regular, they call it glintstone in the game, which is basically your normal projectile, pretty overpowered type of magic. Then you have gravitational magic, where you freaking lift rocks and throw them at your opponent. There's You can use faith, which is gives you kind of opens the door to be able to use holy magic. Flames, fire, which is actually two different aspects, which is weird, but it's the way it is. And lightning and holy, of course. Um, you can so tons of different magic type stuff. You want to use huge heavy weapons, you can. There's that type of class for that, as in like the strength class. You want to be super fast and swift with the character. There's dexterity, you can do that. Um, you want to add different aspects to your strength or dexterity character. There's poison, there's bleed, there's freezing, there's lightning, which is super. It just adds a different uh, aspect to your fighting. Not only are you doing insane amount of damage with the weapon, but also the aspect you have on the weapon. So tons of different ways to play the game in terms of the way your character can achieve fighting the bosses, whether through magic, whether through fighting. Super insane. The boss fights, every single boss is different. Every single boss is difficult to kill, and there are no holding hands in the game. It doesn't tell you what you need to kill the boss. It doesn't tell you even the weaknesses of the boss. And yes, the bosses have weaknesses to certain aspects. The game doesn't tell you this. You have to look it up yourself. Um, the game does not tell you what to upgrade or how to upgrade, and to some people that will be daunting to them. But watch a couple of videos, and even just playing the game itself, you'll eventually learn what you need. Um, but I think watching a YouTube video is best if you want to go for a certain class all the way to the end to become super OP. Definitely do that. But yeah, tons and tons of content. The gameplay is super engaging, super rewarding, and you will not get bored from the gameplay. Um, as you are watching in the background, that is Millennia, the most difficult boss fight in the game. And I guess I'll go extend this a little bit more on the bosses. Each and every single boss is different. Some fight super fast, as the one I'm showing in the background. Some fight with super strong powers, like the last boss fight is crazy insane, has this insane amount of power. Um, Others you have to learn how to dodge them differently because they change up their speed in fighting. They will hold their sword in the air for the longest amount of time until they finally swing at you, and you then have to dodge last minute, or they will move super fast all of a sudden. Now you're having to dodge super fast, whereas earlier they were moving slower. So yeah, you'll never get bored of the gameplay. If you are worried, oh, but what if the game is gonna be boring to me? It won't. Trust me, it won't. It is super engaging, super rewarding, as I said earlier. Um, Now I guess I'll talk about the like I said earlier, there is no. We'll talk about the difficulty aspect of the game. Let's go with that. There is no difficulty bar. You can't pick easy, normal, hard, and legendary. The way to make the game more difficult for you or easier for you is you choose an easier to use class or a more difficult to use class, which again, look up a YouTube video. I recommend doing that, especially for those who don't have much time to play the game. Um, and you need the game to be easier for you if you want to finish, just because you find the story super intriguing and the lore super interesting. Um, but that's the only aspect that keeps you in the game. So you need it to be easier, so you can just fight through it. Recommend watching some videos. But yeah, each the boss you fight will always have the same health bar every single time you go to that arena. They will always have the same way of fighting. So the only way to make the game easier for you is, like I said earlier, you choose an easier to use class, or you want the game to be more difficult. You choose a more difficult to use class. Um, and you choose whether or not you use summons or don't use summons. Summons are, think of it as calling spirits from the dead to help you. That's what our summons are. You want the game to be more difficult? Don't use summons. You want the game to be super easy? I wouldn't say super easy. You want the game to be easier? You use summons and then upgrade those summons and upgrade your character. And the last part is the reason I am saying the game is super rewarding, because the only way to pass a boss is you have to learn how to fight said boss, unless you're a mage, in which case you just are OP. But if you decide, I want the game to be more difficult, you can. It'll be super rewarding. So there's that aspect of the game. And obviously I'm summing it up and making it seem very simple. Obviously there's a lot more to that, but I'm trying to just bullet point on this video, and why it's worth buying. So that's why it's super simple, my explanations. But anyways, we're just gonna keep on going. It is super, I guess we'll talk about the PC expectations, as in what you need to run Elden Ring. And what I like about the game is the visuals are not the main selling point of the game. And they knew this too. They don't need visuals. So they made the visuals as insane as they needed to be. And that's it. And the fact that you can still play this game, like once you see how big this game is and how many things your card has to render, it is actually amazing how they were able to get it to work on this old piece of equipment. We're talking about equipment that is 6 to 8 years old at this point. There are video games that are coming out now by AAA studios, people that have billions of dollars to try to make the game optimized as possible, but they choose not to. Let's be honest, it's not them, they choose not to, really. Especially since newer equipment can barely run their games. It's not even just me complaining that I have an old piece of equipment. Even newer cards can't run their games. So for a smaller studio to be able to achieve such an optimized game, it's amazing. Now for the people who have an old system like mine, if you have lower than that, you may not be able to run the game. I hope you have something newer than that. Sorry, it's just the way it is. You need to remember it's 8 years old, 6 to 8 years old now. But if you do have my system, you may crash after just chilling, kind of farming for levels. You should be fine. If you are fighting boss after boss after boss, or retrying the same boss over and over and over and over again, which you will, maybe expect about after 4 hours to crash if you have a 1060 2GB card with an i5 8400, which is what I have in my system right now. I recommend having the game on an SSD, maybe to, I don't know if that'll help alleviate the issue, but it'll at least help run the game a little smoother. So yeah, when it comes to PCs, the game's pretty well optimized, and if you have a system around that age, should be good. And I feel like I talked about that too long, so we're gonna go on. What else should I talk about? I mean, the game's just amazing. The lore, there we go. The story and the lore of the game. The story is absolutely insane. You're talking about being they call you the Tarnished, which already tells you enough. You are lowest of the lowest born. You are not of royal blood. You are not expected to have insane power. You don't have the genes to have insane power, which kind of couples into blood. But anyways, and you are then expected to become the lord of the game, with immense amount of power that can help change the world. And there are 6 different endings that you can do. That is insane. So you can play the games in 6 different ways if you think about it, or end the game in, how would I say it? There are 6 different philosophies you can choose from in the game. That's so cringe to say, but it's true. 6 different philosophies or 6 different endings that you can choose from. Um, you have to kill these bosses that have fallen from grace in a way, and now you must go defeat them in order to get their powers and bring the Elden Ring back together. I know I'm spoiling a lot, so if you don't want to hear me spoil anymore, skip to the timestamp that I have on screen. And now I'll keep talking. Um, it is just insane, the story part of it. Each character has their own lore behind them. Some are cowards, some are super insanely strong people, because they are trying to not use their godly powers. And then when they decide to use their godly powers, they are absolutely more insane than before. There are some that are, how do you say? It's just a lot. There's a lot to the story. It's an amazing story. You'll enjoy the story of it. There's a lot of lore in the game. Um, each and every single character, even the enemies, like your small little mobs that you find in the just roaming around the map, each one of them have lore behind them, um, and why they are what they are, what they became, the way they are. The maps, obviously, like different areas of the map has lore behind it. The bosses obviously have lore behind them. It's just there's so much lore, so much content. If you are a lore fanatic, you are going to fall in love with the lore because there is so much to go into. I don't even know everything about the lore. I don't know why certain characters are this way. Enemies, I mean, I don't know why some enemies are like this. What became of them to become that? What the dragons are. I don't know why the dragons are what they are, where they came from, why they're in this map. Um, so yeah, so much lore that if you're a lore fanatic, you'll find the lore in this more than interesting and intriguing, and especially with the DLC coming out soon, giving us patches to some holes in the lore. You will find it super intriguing, super interesting. Um, and this game almost feels like it'll be timeless, which is why I think yes, the game is more than worthy to buy in 2024. It's when I say by timeless is there are still people going back and playing Soulsborne games, um, back from who knows what. It's such a long time since they launched. Um, I don't remember the names of those games, sadly. Um, but they are old and there are people still playing them and they still hold up to today's standards, especially since today's standards have kind of gone to the gutter. Let's be honest here, AAA studios are doing terrible right now. But anyways, um, so yeah, this game is gonna be quite timeless, um, and there's so many different ways of playing the game. It'll take you a long time before you're bored of the game. Um, so yeah, definitely worth buying. Elden Ring a month before DLC. Now, the thing that will kind of be is a little sad that you may not be able to finish the game before the DLC comes out, but if you're looking for a deal, maybe you're okay with waiting for the DLC. Elden Ring sometimes goes on deals itself. Um, I don't remember the lowest price I've ever seen it at. I would have to look it up. If I find it, it's on screen right now. That's the lowest price I've ever seen it at. If I don't find it on the internet, I'm sorry you don't see a number on the screen. I was like dumb. But anyways, yeah, worth buying. Worth the $59.99. I think that's the price of the game right now. Yep, $59.99. I think the DLC is gonna come out around $40 if I remember right. So it's an amazing game with lots of content, lots of lore, good story, good gameplay. Um, it's better than some AAA studio games that are coming out now. So yeah, I mean, if you're still on the fence of buying the game, I get it. It's something completely different compared to your normal AAA studio games. But once you played it, I think you will find that you will have enjoyed it so much more than AAA studio games, and will appreciate the passion they put into this game. And this is coming from someone who has 270.4 hours. I'm just looking at that right now. Gosh dang. But yeah, worth definitely worth buying. It was an amazing game, and I think you'll have lots of fun playing it. And especially with the DLC coming out in June, um, whatever, whenever you finish the game and you feel like you're missing something uh, more from the game, buy the DLC. There you go. If you want to wait for the deal, I think it's perfectly fine waiting for the deal. The game's been out for 2 years. You're not missing out on much. Uh, never let uh, never let FOMO force you to buy something. If you need to wait for a deal, wait for the deal. Um, and yeah, hope you enjoy the game if you decide to buy it. Have fun.